By former Love Islander, fitness coach, racing man, Frankie Foster. Frankie, welcome.
Cheers.
To Talking Pints. Very good to see you. Now, Love Island, there's a massive following of youngsters that watch this programme.
Yep. Not a fan yourself?
I have watched it. I wouldn't say it's quite for me, but I have met a few former contestants, actually. Yeah, I mean, young people follow this and every twist and turn of it, and yeah, there's huge criticism of the way it's done in the media and all the rest of it, but you kind of go from complete obscurity to suddenly you've got a big social media following. Yeah. What was it like doing it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always say, when people say to me, oh, you know, you were on Love Island, or some people might say, I didn't know you were on Love Island. I was never a Love Island fan. It wasn't something I watched. So
this was pure opportunism on your part?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a why not. And I always say, I think the whole reason they put me on was slightly out of curiosity, because I think a lot of people would go to their interview and be really keen to get on, and they ask you questions like, do you want fame or do you want money? And I kind of stood on the point, I wanted a holiday, and I wasn't actually that bothered. So I think they chucked me in there on a bit of a whim and thought, you know, maybe he's got something about him, he's not too bothered about this. So it was a bit of a why not for me. Obviously, you understand that the show's big. The year I went on it was the kind of year it really took off. So I think now when people go on it, they really know the impact it has. Whereas I was kind of in between. I was probably a bit naive to how big it could be. But yeah, I mean, I've always tried to carry on as I was. As you said, I'm still working fitness, I still work in racing, which is a big passion of mine. I never got too hung up on or wanted to be a reality TV star, which, don't get me wrong, some people do, and that can be great, but I never wanted to be...
Yeah, you've kind of pivoted away from that life.
Yeah, I didn't want to be Mr. Love Island. But you do get a huge following, and that then gives you the opportunity to do what you want with it. So loads of people suddenly either know who you are, you're a familiar face, they see you on social media, it gives you kind of pathways to do what you want to do. And for me, that was going back to personal training, and then recently kind of picking up in the horse racing world as well. Yeah,
I want to talk about the horse racing stuff. So, I mean, has horse racing always been a love?
Yeah, so this is where this works quite nice. I grew up in Cheltenham. Naturally, you kind of get introduced to it in
the festival.
Yeah, of course. I probably went to
the Super Spreader event that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
I was invited and didn't go.
Yeah, 2019, I think. Yeah, the last hurrah before COVID. That was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it works nice, is because it started off as people saying, "Do you want to present this award, or do you want to do this?" And as a sports fan, it's kind of like asking a Man United fan, "Do you want to go and interview?" You know,
so you're doing live commentary and stuff like that?
Yes, so I'm working on a new project called Race Day, which we are, in front of you just mentioned me before about horse racing, you know, where's it going with young people? A lot of the work we're doing is...
Because I worry about that, because racing used to be readily available, terrestrial television, John McCririck with the big sideburns, a loud voice on Channel 4 News, and some real characters on television with racing. And it's rather like cricket and other sports. When it's there on terrestrial television, very big audiences, and they might watch it casually, but they're exposed to it. Whereas, you know, you want to watch horse racing on telly at home now, you're going to be paying...
Yeah, well, I mean, ITV are doing brilliant coverage and getting more coverage, which is great. Rachel Blackmore's nominated for the Sports Star Award, which is massive for racing.
And just to remind people who aren't racing fans, she did something quite big this year, didn't she?
Yeah, well, I mean, rode a Gold Cup winner, rode a couple of winners at the festival. Sorry, not a Gold Cup winner, Grand National winner. Second in the Gold Cup. Yeah. Absolute horse racing legend. Brilliant for the sport. So to get that recognition is good. But what we're doing is more of the fun stuff, as you said, bringing a younger crowd. We go to race days, we show the day out, we show punters having a good time, we show what's on at the races, as well as the jockeys in training. So it's been real good fun. We've come in from an angle which maybe makes people relax a little bit as well, rather than a big TV production.
So can you bring young people into racing?
100%. There's a lot going on which is brilliant for it. I mean, social media is massive for it. Showing a good day out. I think the angle you've got to take is getting people there for the day out, and then if they enjoy it, they come back, and then they start to learn.
What about the punting?
And the punting, yeah. But, I mean, I think second to that...
How you talk about that these days is difficult, isn't it?
No, it's a big part of racing.
But a lot of people frown on gambling.
They do. I've actually got a question for you.
Go on.
I asked my followers, and some of the racing fans wanted to know if you had an anti-post bet for Cheltenham.
I haven't done, no. But in the past, the biggest win I had on the Cheltenham Festival was the day when, going the wrong way, Desert Orchid won the Gold Cup. And I think Desert Orchid was 7-2 that day, starting price, maybe 3-1. So I did win good money on that. I've been to a lot of Cheltenham festivals over the years, and plenty of flat racing days as well. I like a bet. I don't bet very often. I think that's the discipline that you need. You bet when you really fancy having a bet. You have a bet because it's a day out. It's part of the day out.
You go and what's in your pocket.
But I've seen lots of problem gamblers over the years. No desire to be one of them. But if you can bring young people into racing, that's fantastic. Now, the personal training side of things that you're doing, which I guess lockdown in a way has been good for that, hasn't it? Really.
It's changed obviously how we work, but I was fortunate in that I started to move my business and the way I coach online before COVID. And then as COVID's hit, more and more people have started to work with people. Obviously, that was your only option at one point, was to work virtually with people. But I think it's been really good, one, for people to kind of wake up and think about their health a little bit more. And two, working with people online and bringing communities to people when they've been through lockdown was massive. We were doing stuff like pub quizzes with our clients on Zoom, because as much of it is getting fit and being healthy, it's also kind of giving people a bit of direction and a community to fall back on as well when there wasn't too much going on. So it's been a different year.
What would you say to older people in their 50s, 60s, perhaps into their 70s, who maybe haven't really done very much for 20 years or 30 years, and they may be carrying a little bit of weight, or maybe they've lost a bit of weight? And I've lost 20 pounds since lockdown, since lockdown first began. I think half the country have lost weight, half the country have put it on.
But it goes one way or the other normally.
Is there a message of encouragement in terms of
100%. We've just took on a couple of clients in their 50s. So I love working with older people, because I'd say the work you can do there is probably more rewarding.
So there's still hope for me?
100%. Yeah. And so when somebody that comes to me that hasn't been doing much and doesn't really know where to start, and as you said, maybe for the last 20 years they've been fairly inactive, the progression they can see, because you're going from doing nothing to some basic strength training, eating a little bit better, it's going to be more rewarding than somebody that has been quite active and they want to just tighten the screws.
Okay. And how long does it take to turn that round?
I mean, it depends. Let's say you came to me. I'd say in 3 months you could be feeling a different man.
3 months of absolute murder. I just know that it would be. We thank Frankie Foster for joining us here on Talking Pints.